Well, whoa, shoot. Oh, that's a bust. Way to go, PieRatKing. You suck at this. Anyways, that should work. Great. Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. It is Friday night, so you know what that means. That means it's time for PieRat TV. You know, where we come together.
Your booty is mine.
Thank you for the host. We come together and we talk about news, politics, history, and the likes. So, this week we have a doozy of an episode. I know, always starting things off properly, right? Right, Ducky? Right, yep. Mimi, thank you for the host. Oh, God. That's an interesting quote right there. So this week we have fun stuff. As the House leader, Miss Nancy Pelosi, Representative Nancy Pelosi, has decided to start the official impeachment inquiry, which means that they will start to study and see if it is worth, or no, if impeachment is the proper way to go about it. Meaning that they will look to see if they can find evidence that a crime was committed by the President of the United States.
Your booty is mine.
Thank you for the host there, Shanzi. To see if a crime was committed by the President of the United States and whether or not they should hold a formal impeachment hearing, which will be done by the Senate, who will act as the judge and jury in that case. Formal impeachments have happened 4 times, I think, three times since the creation of the United States. Andrew Johnson was impeached back in 1868, I believe. And then Mr. Richard Nixon was impeached in the 70s for illegal wiretapping, which he resigned and gave over the office to Gerald Ford. Because, I mean, obviously he illegally wiretapped the Democratic National Convention's offices. Then President Bill Clinton was impeached by a Republican-led Senate back in the 90s for lying to a grand jury about having practiced sex with one of his interns in his office. Whether you agree with the impeachment or not, I mean, he lied about it to a grand jury that's committing perjury. I understand it was stupid. He should have never had his freaking sex life, investigated by anybody in the first place. But that's besides the point. And now Miss Representative Nancy Pelosi is pushing to look to see if it's worth asking the Senate to start an impeachment proceedings against President Donald Trump for what they are claiming are high crimes and misdemeanor. There's a lot to look into for this. It's going to be a very interesting up and coming couple months, I think. If y'all don't know, Pelosi has been really trying not to start the impeachment processes against President Trump. She's been really trying this entire time that Trump's been in office not to go down that road. And there's a really good reason why. The Senate is completely held by Republicans. There's no way that the Senate is going to relinquish the power that Trump has. And second of all, do we really want President Pence? Do we really want President Pence? I mean, a lot of things have been said about President Trump, but some of it is true about Pence. That's all I'm going to say. So, if you haven't been keeping up with the news, what came out this week? Yeah. I mean, I don't know Pence as well as some people, but I know of some of the things that he was for when he was a governor. So, yeah. Yeah. For me, you mean against? What do you mean? I'm lost at what that question's about. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was too busy thinking about a President Pence. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, he was for, what is it called? Re-education. Is that the term that they're using? Yeah. Not a fan of that. There's a lot about Pence that I don't like. Even more so. And again, if anybody's watching me for the first time, I am a libertarian. I see myself as a libertarian. I see myself as a fairly liberty-seeking individual, and I think that individual liberties are more important than anything else. Yeah, conversion therapy. That's the term for it. Yeah, he was a big fan of that. And I'm not a fan of conversion therapy. So, yeah, I think that's wrong. No matter who you are. So, anyways, so what's come out this week is apparently a while back. I think they're saying a couple months ago. Oh, no, here it is, right here. I'm looking right at the date. On July 25th of this year, Mr. President Trump had a phone call with the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky. That's more from Mantis' side of the world. Not mine. So I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but I believe I am Zelensky. Zelensky is proper? So he had a phone call with the president of Ukraine, where he talked about an investigation that they are doing that A.G. Barr and former mayor of New York City Robert Giuliani. Robert? Is his name Robert? Giuliani. Not a big fan of Giuliani either. So he's now named Robert. I don't care if that's his real name. No, Rudy. What the hell is wrong with me? I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, Rudy Giuliani. Why was I saying Robert? Why am I got Robert on the... Oh, because I've been making fun of Beto all day. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani and A.G. Barr are investigating something that happened during the Obama administration and asked for help from Ukraine. Apparently I am, Mimi. Apparently I'm having a mental breakdown over here. Yeah, no, it's because I've been making fun of Beto O'Rourke all day. All day. He's been a nuisance all day, and it's been bothering me. Not a fan of Beto. Oh man, him and I would have words. But anyways, and that's words, not fisticuffs. I'm not threatening the man. I'm just saying I would like to have words with him. So, Mr. Robert Francis, please give me a call. I will totally interview you and ask you what's wrong with you. Yeah, we're trying not to call people names here, Mantis. I'm trying my hardest not to call people names, especially since I am actually running for a spot in Congress. I would like to try to maintain civil discourse with people and just prove them wrong on what they're saying and not, name call. Name calling is kind of a cheap way to try to achieve victory, but when you can actually prove people wrong, it's a lot easier. So anyways, as I was saying, so President Trump had a conversation with the president of Ukraine talking about an investigation into Biden during the Obama administration, something that happened during that time. Whether what Biden did was right or wrong is being completely overlooked because people are claiming that the president committed a crime by asking for help in an investigation into the indecent acts of an American in a foreign country. Yeah, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But transcripts of that phone call were released. Mind you, on the bottom there's a disclaimer. It says, I'll read it out for you. A memorandum of telephone conversation is not a verbatim transcript of discussion. The text in this document records the notes and recollections of Situation Room duty officers and NSC policy staff assigned to listen and memorialize the conversation in written form as the conversation takes place. A number of factors can affect the accuracy of the record, including poor telecommunications connections and variations in accent and/or interpretation. The word inaudible is used to indicate portions of the conversation that the note taker was unable to hear. Okay, so basically what that is saying is that what happens when because they do not record telephone conversations anymore. They stopped doing that after Nixon, between the president and other people. They don't record them. But what they do is they have 3 individuals that listen in on the conversation, and then transcribe what's said. And then they will leave out things that are, like ums and uhs and ha-ha-has, like they're going to leave that stuff out. And they're going to mark when they can't understand what is said in the telephone conversation due to whether it's connection issues or they didn't hear it. So that's basically what these memos are. So they can't say it's an actual transcript. They stopped recording because it's easier to type out everything that's said and find it on a piece of paper compared to forwarding and reversing on an audio file, if it's ever used like it's being used right now as evidence in something else. So what a lot of it's being said right now is that as soon as the transcripts were put out, a lot of people have been saying, it's not really a transcript. Stop calling it a transcript. It's a memorandum. It's been purged of any wrong sayings and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I need to. I was just trying to do that so my headphones don't fall off. Or shut off. I might just have to plug it in. I plug in my headphones. Because otherwise they'll just shut off because they're not hearing any sound.
Charging battery.
There we go. So a lot of what's being said is, they're not really transcripts. They're not really transcripts. They've been freaking, they've been gone through, cleaned up, and everything like that. Yeah, charging battery happens. That's what happens when you get wireless headphones. They like to charge. And so that's what's being said by a lot of people. Well, then, the same people that are saying this, that are stating that, these aren't really transcripts, are going and looking and saying, well, we want to see the whistleblower complaint. Because if you didn't know, there was a whistleblower complaint that was brought up and kind of like thrown to the side by the Department of Justice because it's not really an official whistleblower complaint. Because for the whistleblower complaints to be a valid whistleblower complaint is that the people are in the line of their duty, coming across information and reporting that information. And a lot of this complaint, this whistleblower complaint, is rumor and stuff that they heard from other people. And we all played freaking telephone growing up. You hear something and you say something to another person next to you. You pass that down and pass that down, pass that down. Information gets lost, words get changed. I mean, shoot, you could say banana on one side and come out with apple on the other. Like that's how passing information orally changes. And that's why we look at oral history, but we don't take it for the truth of it. Yeah, exactly, Mosen. That's the end receiver has a totally different phrase than what was stated at the start. So that's why conjecture is not usually used as true evidence when you go up to courts. That's why, oh well, I heard from so and so, that person committed a crime. Okay, so you heard from so and so that person. You didn't hear from the person themselves that they committed a crime. Thank you for the follow there, Epic Pro. Yeah, and it all becomes hearsay, and hearsay and conjecture is not really like it can be used in trial, but it's not like it's going to get called out as hearsay.
Your booty is mine.
Thank you for the follow or the host there, Epic Pro. That's not what you're gonna base your entire case off of. That's why you're skeptical that there's no recordings anymore. I mean, we're never gonna know, Mimi, but as I know, the office of the president has not recorded phone calls and conversations in the office since Nixon. That's just what we, the commoners, are told. And that's what a lot of people that deal with those kind of things are told. Whether that's the truth or not, who knows? Until there's proof that they are doing it. But yeah, but right now it's hearsay. Yeah, right now it's hearsay. But that's what the whistleblower complaint is about too. I'll share with you the documents I'm talking about because I have them pulled up right here. This is the wrong one. This right here is the transcript of the Memorandum of Telephone Conversation. We'll call it that. That was declassified by the Office of the President earlier this week. Basically, the president is congratulating President Zelensky of a great victory. Congratulations on a great victory. We all have watched from the United States. You did a terrific job, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of history in Ukraine that has gone on in the past 10, 15 years that most Americans aren't aware of. In all honesty, I wasn't aware of some of it. So the Ukraine has been, since 1991, when the Ukraine found its independence from the USSR, it has been a hotbed of corruption, as a lot of Eastern European countries have been, and old Soviet bloc countries have been, where there's just huge amounts of corruption. Because, I mean, you're talking about people that are, or countries that are left in economic wastelands and are having to try to rebuild their economy, but while they're rebuilding their economies and while they're rebuilding their nations as independent nations, people come to power that just should have never gained power. Yeah, and then 2014 there was a mass civil uprising, and they wanted to throw out the entire government, and that's what happened. Basically, they elected a new president. They elected new people into office there, into their parliament. They then started to sweep out all the old guard, all the people that were suspected of corruption, and firing them from their positions and stuff like that. And that's kind of what started this whole thing with the president. And yeah, with the revolution happened and then civil war and with the West Ukrainian side. Yeah, and a lot of civilians were killed, and Crimea was invaded by Russia. So I mean, like, there was a lot of things that happened, especially like in 2014, that happened that reshaped Ukraine altogether. Mind you, the United States has been economically trying to help the Ukraine since 1991. You have cousins who live in the area. He sent me quite a few videos of the fighting in Donbass. Wow. I don't want to say I would enjoy. I would have liked to be on the ground and be able to record that kind of thing. Like I've always wanted to go and be kind of like eyes on the wall of civil uprisings like that. Not that I want to get involved. I don't want to get involved in anybody's, civil uprising. I'm just experiencing that kind of thing would be interesting. Yeah, press man, just videotaping. Oh, I wouldn't doubt that it's worse than what most Western media puts out. But Vice in 2014 is not Vice in 2019. I hate to say it. Vice back in the early days of Vice was very hard hitting, grunge style news reporting. That's why I got into watching Vice a lot, and then all of a sudden it changed, and I was like, wait, this is not the Vice I knew. This is not what I wanted to watch. I want to watch that guy on the street who just happens to have his freaking cell phone is interrupting people. Yeah. So yeah, this is the transcript. Honestly, after reading it a couple times, from myself, my own personal opinion, there's nothing really there. That, it's 5 or 6 5 pages of conversation. And if you want to look at it yourself, this is the link on CNN right there. That's the link. You can read it over yourself, make your own opinions. That's because that's the proper thing to do. And honestly, there's not much there. There really isn't. He talks about meeting up with the Ukrainian president, who he just met up with again, today, I think. He talks about, hey, I'm going to have Mr. Giuliani give you a call and have Attorney General Barr give you a call, and we'll get to the bottom of it, because there was... So what happened... Here we go. Let me pull this up. This is what started it all. Sorry, this is how much money we've given to Ukraine. This year, $51 million. Last year, in 2017, $51 million. 2016, $513 million. We've given Ukraine, they're I think one of the top 6 or 7 countries we've given money to. Over the past 20 years, almost. Anyways, so what had happened was this article is from December 8th, 2015, from the New York Times. And I'm going to give y'all kind of the abridged version of what happened. Vice President Biden has a son who was hired by Burisma, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, natural gas companies in the entire world. Ukraine was rich with natural gas, and that's kind of the reason why Russia invaded Crimea, to control pipelines. With Ukraine's... so Burisma is one of the largest natural gas companies in the entire world, and Hunter Biden, who is Joe Biden's son, who's former Vice President Joe Biden's son, was hired by this company to do something. And as soon, a couple weeks after that, Biden or that company, Burisma, was being investigated by a prosecutor in Ukraine for corruption. And then Biden called the Ukrainian the Ukrainian government and said that they were going to withhold the amount of aid that the United States was going to give to Ukraine until they got rid of a prosecutor. And it happens to be the same prosecutor that's also investigating the company that his son worked for. Now, I'm not going to say that that was done, because his son worked for him. I'm just because there's the prosecutor himself was a very corrupted individual already. Like that's been already gotten out in the open that he needed to be gotten rid of anyways. But as somebody from the outside looking at this, no, Mosen, and that's what I'm saying is that Biden, who was vice president of the United States at the time, demanded somebody in the Ukrainian government get fired until they would release the funds that we'd already promised to the Ukraine. That to me, when put side by side with the fact that one of the companies that this prosecutor that Biden was getting fired happens to be the company that his son works for, a little bit suspicious. So, what had happened? Yeah. Mind you, this article is from December 8th, 2015. Nobody made a big deal about this. Nobody made a big deal about this. New York Times did an article, and that's it. At the minimum, that whole situation should have been investigated at the time. But, of course, at the time, Biden was still vice president, and nobody was paying attention, nobody cared. And here's where it gets even stranger, the whole thing gets stranger, is the fact that now a lot of the people in the media are saying that Trump is refusing to give Ukraine money until they investigate Biden. But none of them are talking about the fact that Biden did the exact same damn thing 4 years ago, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And then where's the so then here's the whistleblower complaint. No, that's politics, man. This is what happens in politics. And then people get blown up and they get all mad and they get all angry and they start to try to figure out, and wonder, Trump is such a bad guy, but the guy before him, if anything, was worse. And the vice president, the guy before him was worse. It's ridiculous to me to see this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying what Trump did was right. I'm because it's not. Withholding money to a country that you've already promised to help out, which, again, foreign aid is one of the biggest amounts of money that the government pays. I will show you how much money the U.S. has given out to other countries. $49 billion in 2017. $49 billion to other countries. And this is the government of the United States to other countries. For things like conflict, peace and security, emergency response, HIV/AIDS, government and civil society, operating expenses, unallocated, unspecified, basic health, general environmental protection, basic education, agriculture, other. No, and that's part of my problem, Mosen, is that nobody's in the right here. Nobody is. Mantis, from what I gathered from other people, they said more or less that he's withholding it because he wants to know if Ukraine is truly an ally of the West. Honestly, I would think that's possible. That's a possibility. I would think because of the fact that Ukraine has had an issue with massive amounts of corruption in their country, and because Russia does have a huge influence on the area still. I mean, they just walked in and took over Crimea. Nobody bats an eye. And because, you know, Russia still they still have those ties to the Ukraine, to Poland, to a lot of the Eastern Bloc area because they controlled the land for, 50, 60 years. It's a just... Well, yeah, I know, longer. Well, I wasn't talking about Ukraine specific. I'm just talking about, like, the area. Like, this whole area right here. Except for Finland. We all know. The Finnish don't give in to the Russians. Where's Finnish Fool? I need him. It's a joke, Mantis. Finland doesn't exist. All I see is anyways, so it's just to me it's been a whole bunch of nothing coming out. It like the phone conversation, there's really nothing there. He doesn't even say, hey, if you don't investigate, I'm not sending you money. Like, possibly because he's too smart to say anything like that on the phone. I know people are going to be like, oh, but you just called Trump smart. He's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. If he's going to do something that's slightly illegal, I don't think he's going to do it somewhere where it can be transcribed. The whistleblower complaint is a bunch of hearsay. No, exactly. I agree, Mosen. He may be smart in some areas, but that doesn't make him a genius. I agree. You'd be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I know people are calling it a 4D chess move. And I'll get into 4D chess moves here in a second because there's something even better that I think is a smarter 4D chess move than anybody can expect. And I think a lot of people don't see it as what my theory is on it. Anyways, so in the course of my official duties, I've received information from multiple U.S. government officials that the President of the United States is using the power of his office to solicit interference from a foreign country in the 2020 election. This is the investigate Biden, basically. And he talks about the July 25th phone call that he heard from other people. The White House officials who told me this information were deeply disturbed by what had transpired in the phone call. They told me that there was already a discussion ongoing with the White House lawyers about how to treat the call because of the likelihood. They told me, I heard, this is what I've been told. In days following the phone call, I learned from multiple U.S. officials that the senior White House officials had intervened to lock down all records of the phone call, especially the official word-for-word transcript of the call that was produced, as it's customary, by the White House Situational Room. Possibly because some of that stuff is top secret, so it's got to be locked down. Like, that's why it's classified. Yeah, that's my problem with this, is that it's no different. Like, if you honestly believe that Biden did something criminal, if I was to look at it and say, okay, there seems to be something criminal about what Biden actually did. I'm not saying that Biden committed a crime. I'm saying it looks like there is criminal activity. Let's investigate it. Since Biden was the vice president of the United States, is an American citizen, and was using his power in office to change things in another country, Why wouldn't you ask that other country to help you investigate? Happens all the freaking time. It really does. That's how we got Julian Assange, who should be released because he didn't commit a crime other than expose information. Now, Interpol is a thing too. Yeah. Like, there's so many thing that have happened that I'm like, you're calling this a crime, but all I see and what most people are seeing, I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people are seeing is this is the President of the United States asking for help in an investigation into what could possibly be a criminal act by somebody who held the office of Vice President and who is currently running for president. But is it effective? Nobody knows, Mantis. Honestly, like, whether it's effective or not. I mean, but we have no jurisdiction over in Ukraine. And the Ukraine has no jurisdiction in the United States. So, I mean, the only thing you could do is try to help out with each other. You know, or are you asking if Interpol is effective? I don't know if Interpol is effective. I don't live in Europe, so Interpol has very little say over my life. Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of the things that Interpol conducts would be unconstitutional. So, but you know, that's for you Europeans to deal with, and whatever other country. Anyways, all right, Mantis, you have a good night, dude. Thank you for stopping by. Don't go cry. I'll give you a hug. Yeah. I mean, Mantis, come to the US.
Charging battery.
Mantis, come to the U.S. and become an American citizen, because you have to be an American citizen to purchase a firearm here in the U.S. Or on a residential visa, I think. Just marry. Oh wait, Mosen's not American either. I was gonna say just marry, but oh wait, I know. I'm just fucking with you, Mosen. I just marry Mosen. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Little Odessa. So, honestly, like, I don't see this as the bombshell that some people are claiming it to be. It's not enough. This is not enough to even get, like, maybe a grand jury to look at. Maybe. Is this really enough to try to hold an actual court proceeding? No, it's not. There's not enough there. Just like when everybody was demanding President Obama get impeached, I was like, there's not enough proof to do that, A, and B, like, it's not going to work. It really isn't. Oh my goodness. Don't even start me, Mosen, on that. Oh. The Fast and the Furious operation was a bad idea. They should have never... I don't know who came up with that idea. I don't know who came up with the freaking Fast and Furious operation. That was the dumbest freaking piece of work that anybody could have came up with. Anybody. Like, hey, I have an idea. Let's sell guns to the cartels to try and capture cartel members. Let's sell them guns. But wait, you're selling guns to people with a history of violence. What? Yeah, like... That whole mess was a mess. Yeah, but we're getting off topic. Anyways. So, as I said, there's not enough here. Like, you have hearsay in the whistleblower's complaint. You have a telephone conversation that is at worst, the president is kind of like, hey, investigate this guy. Mosen, I agree. The government has to do a background check and not have a history of... Oh, wait a minute. Also, we want to talk about Russia's influence. Oh, Mosen, that's what I was getting after freaking Beto for. That's what's been having me with freaking Beto all mad all day. All day. So we want to talk about Russia's influence in the area. The Kremlin warns against Ukraine's new president Volodymyr Zelensky against calls for more Russian sanctions. So Putin's asking them not to... I don't know why I pulled this one up. I just thought it was... And this is out of the South China Morning Post. And Zelensky says his priority is ending the conflict with Russia-backed insurgents. Oh, yeah, because the United States wants to impose more sanctions on companies involved in the Nord Stream 2 pipeline project, which is running through Crimea, which is where Russia invaded, back then. Yeah. Let's see. This is the one I showed earlier. Oh, wait. What? I already logged in. Oh, I logged in over here. This is from earlier this year, basically saying the same thing that the one that came out 2015, this is from May 1st, 2019, was a foreign policy role Joseph R. Biden Jr. enthusiastically embraced. Like, oh, don't get me started on Hunter Biden. The man became a board member of a company. You need to read the paper again. I'm not a fan of the New York Times because the New York Times has a tendency, especially lately, of... No, actually, all newspapers do this now. All media, all news networks do it. They'll put out something, and it'll be groundbreaking and smashing and freaking, blow everybody's doors open. And then the next day, they'll put we had to edit this because a lot of our information was wrong. Whisper, I am down. I have to update it, though. Yeah, so this is basically even more... Another article by New York Times, again, May 1st, 2019. May 1st, 2019. It's freaking almost half a year ago. This is from Reuters, saying that Ukraine must investigate Joe Biden's son. And this was a couple days ago. No, today. This is from today, from Reuters. And this is from one of their writers in Moscow and Kiev, who covers Moscow and Kiev, basically saying that now Ukraine has to do it. They have to look into it. They have to see if there was something illegal that happened. Oh, and here's the Ukraine gas company tied to Joe Biden's son is at the center of Trump's whistleblower complaint. Who? Hunter? No, Hunter Biden's live. He's 45 years old. It's his older son that died in Afghanistan, I think. Died. I think it was in Afghanistan or Iraq. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Afghanistan. So this is all the things, but it's just to me it's been really interesting to see the fact that all of this centers around something that happened years ago with Biden. But they're wanting to impeach Trump for it, basically. I don't know. Whether we'll see. Oh, he died of brain cancer. Oh, I know Hunter was in the National Guard and got kicked out for snorting coke. So I know that one. I thought he had a son that died in the service. Bo died of brain cancer. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that information, Mimi. Now I know. But anyways, I was going to pull up. This is the fact that we gave almost $511 million to the Ukraine in 2017. We're scheduled to give them 131 million this year. Or no, we've given them 131 so far this year, and partially reported 359 million last year, but $513 million in 2016. So we've been giving a couple $100 million every year, like it's nothing. And like I said, with the worldwide, we've given out $49 billion. So, and then I wanted to bring up the fact that this one is from August 22nd. This is a Monmouth poll. Biden's an interesting individual, but he's been around so long. Like, him and Bernie have been in office for so long. Personally, I would like to put some sort of term limit on representatives and senators, so they're not spending their entire lives in office. Well, at least in those specific offices. Move up, dude. Like, move up or move out. We already have one for the president. The only one that I'm okay with them not getting rid of is the Supreme Court. That's the only one I'm okay. I'm okay with them not making a term limit, because like we discussed the Supreme Court here on the show before. The Supreme Court is meant to be your more stable position. It's supposed to be the one that lasts over everything else for a longer amount of time. Yeah, and this is to ensure the proper checks and balances are done. The representative democracy that we have in this United States is supposed to be a slow-moving beast. And yeah, I agree, Bobcat. I think 40 to 50 years is way too long to hold the office of senator. I honestly would like to see 3 terms as the longest that you can run as senator. I think that 3 terms as senator and 3 or 4 terms as representative should be the longest you should hold those offices. Not 3. Sorry. Representative, I said 4 to 6 terms, because representatives are in office for 2 years. A decade, maybe 2 decades for those offices. No, well, we're a democratic republic, or a representative democracy, or however you want to put it. But I think, we're a democratic republic. I stated that wrong. I apologize. But still, like, it's supposed to work this way. It's supposed to be slow moving. It's supposed to be full of roadblocks and everything to get things passed. The problem is, in the past 50 to 60 years, we've slowly whittled away in how everything gets taken care of. No, I'm against true democracy. True democracy is a dumb idea. There are way too many people that have no idea about anything going on to make those kind of decisions. Bobcat, I know the flooding was fine. At my house it was fine. I know some other places in Houston got flooding. If you've lived in Houston, if you're from Houston, and you lived in Houston, you know the city freaking floods every time somebody pees outside, dude. It's one of those things about Houston. It floods. We're used to it. Yeah, true democracy works as often as true communism. I'm against democracy, because the only way to have proper democracy is for your entire population to be well informed and willing to do research. The problem is 95% of the American people, they don't even care. They feel like they're, they're one way or the other. They feel like they're either an R or a D, and they'll vote R and D no matter who that person is. That's why you have so many libertarians who will go and throw an R on their name. Ron Paul, Rand Paul. They'll throw an R on their name and they'll get voted in like it's nothing, because people don't pay attention. They're not really interested into what that individual's policies are, what they're actually for, what they're actually against, what their voting history is, kind of thing. People don't even read the bills that they go and vote on every year for their local governments, let alone, what's going on in Washington, D.C. District, yes. Too many people just vote party and not policies or issues. And I've been guilty of that. I'm not going to say I haven't been guilty of it, because I've been guilty in the past of voting a way or another way based on, what I saw myself as at the time. But I especially the past 10 to 15 years, I've been really trying my hardest. I'll read up on bills that are going up in local elections, because you need to know where your tax money is going. You should try to find out where the hell your tax money is going, why you're agreeing to certain things. In Arizona, when I was living there, they wanted to up the cigarette and tobacco tax, and all of that money was going to be allocated to the schools, the Department of Education in Arizona, and it passed like nothing. Like the Arizonans, I think it had like a 75-80% approval rate on that voting. And then a couple years later, because of the way the Arizona state government works, every resolution has to be voted on by the people of the state. I think it was the next major election, one of the resolutions put out there by the state government was to allocate some of the funds that they were getting from the tobacco tax for education for other projects to be decided upon by whoever was running the Department of Treasury in Arizona. And 90% of the people said, no, hell no. You promised us this tax was going to go here. You have a surplus of this money, but we're not seeing it in our education system. Why is that money not being put into the education system, but you're trying to take it out and put it out somewhere else? So, I mean, in those senses, like I was starting to get really involved in trying to figure out what laws and what things were trying to be passed, and where my tax money was going, where my sales tax was going, and stuff like that. And I tried to actually get more involved in my local politics with the way I voted, not like legitimately. It wasn't until recently that I really got the bug to actually get involved in politics. And then there are people who look at libertarians as a joke. No, Mosen, a lot of people look at libertarians as a joke. They really do. A lot of people look at them as a joke because they feel like they want to say they're called what is it? They don't want to pick a side. They don't want to pick one side or the other. And just for me personally, there's one side for me, and that's individual liberty, and that the government and the masses have no say in what I do in my own house. Libertarians are bisexual politics. Kind of. I mean, but you have left-leaning libertarians, you have right-leaning libertarians, you have crazy way off in the corner libertarians. But, I'm just saying, like... Anyways, so Monmouth University put out this poll. They're one of the main big polling places in the country. And they do almost all the polls. But they polled about 800 people, 800 adults in August or mid-August, asking about the whether Trump should be impeached or not. This is the approval rating. He was at 40%, disapproval 53%, no opinion 7%. And then you have the U.S. Congress's 17% believed Congress is doing a good job. Jesus. That 17%. 71% disapprove. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, that's insane. Would you say things in the country are going in the right direction, or have they gone off track? Right direction, 28%, 62% wrong track, 8% depends, 2% don't know. I mean, it's been fairly stable throughout since 2013. It's about normal for people. That's crazy to me too. Do you think President Trump should be impeached and compelled to leave the presidency or not? Yes, 35% say yes, he should be impeached. Mind you, this is in August. 59% said no, should not. 6 don't care. That should tell you something. When this is just random people talked to on the phone. And this is from 2017, July of 2017, all the way to last month. Or, yeah, it's still last month. You know, and it's stayed fairly similar. About 30 to 40% of people say he should be impeached. And I'm bringing up these numbers for a reason. I'll show you why here in a second. Do you think it's good or bad idea for the House Judiciary Committee to conduct an impeachment inquiry into President Trump that may or may not lead to impeachment? 41% say good idea, 51% say bad idea, 1% say both. Wait, what? It's both a good idea and a bad idea. That's probably your libertarian there. And then they even went into why you feel that way if it was a good idea. Broken the law, 17%. Need to follow evidence, 18%. Exposure, transparency, 9%. Unfit, unqualified, 7%. Liar, dishonest, 7%. Checks and balances, 5%. Acts above the law, hold accountable, 10%. Bad policies, bad job, 16%. Needs to be removed, 4%. Racism, immigration, 11%. Moral character, personality, 17%. Russia ties, 3%. Other, 7%. No answer, 3%. But then the bad idea people who were also the 51% of the people that were in this poll. Mind you, polls are never 100% accurate. But this is just trying to show that most people don't think it's really that good of an idea. And Trump has done nothing wrong. That was almost a quarter of the people that said that was a bad idea. Waste of time and money. That's another one. Done a good job. Partisanship witch hunt. Already investigated. Move on. Congress should work on other things. Will backfire on the Democrats. 5%. Yeah. I am Bobcat. I'm interested. Like the sadist in me wants to watch it happen. I want to see an impeachment. I want to watch it happen, but for a completely different reason than most people who want to see an impeachment. Trump was duly elected. I mean, yeah, he was. Bad for country. Senate won't remove him, 3%. Too late, wait for an election. Oh, Mosen, me, same here. I would sit there and watch C-SPAN all freaking day. As you may know, impeachment is a two-step process. First, the House must pass articles of impeachment, then 2/3 of the Senate must agree with those articles in order to remove a sitting president. If the House does pass articles of impeachment, how likely is it that the Senate will actually vote to remove president? Not at all likely, 50%. Not too likely, 25%. Who are these 6% people? Like, I want to know who these 6% people who said very likely. Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea for the House to conduct formal impeachment proceedings if the Senate is unlikely to vote to remove Donald Trump from office? 37% good idea, 56 bad idea. Like, this is just showing to me again that a lot of people just aren't. And this is the this is from a couple days ago, actually, this poll. Do you approve or disapprove of the House of Representatives formally starting an impeachment inquiry into the president? 49% approve, 46% disapprove, 5% are unsure. Registered voters about the same. Democrats are 88% say it's a good idea, 10% against it. Republicans are 93% and 6%. But here's the group that really matters. The independents are 50% say disapprove, 44% approve. Oh, yeah, you would. All hell would break loose, then Trump would say shit on. I mean, he already says stuff on Twitter all the time. All the time. He's always talking on Twitter. This man cannot stand not having Twitter. He's worse than most of us content creators. Yeah. This was another interesting thing I saw, that I found, that just this graph here, that 46% of the people who answered this were white, said that they approve of the inquiry. 50% said no. Non-whites 57% and 36%. It's just interesting to see. He talks more than he breathes. Impossible. And then you have, of course, the area. People in the big city are more likely to say that it's a good idea. Suburbans are split, and then rurals are saying it's a bad idea. So I was looking at these polls. Now, this is why I find I bring up all these polls and everything, and why I think there is somebody else playing 4D chess other than Trump with this whole thing. Because whether or not Trump purposely, is playing 4D chess, I don't know. I don't care. I don't think he's playing 4D chess. I think he's playing chess while everybody else is playing freaking checkers. That's what I do think. Whether it's 4D or not, I think he's thinking 2 steps faster than most of the Democrats who are trying to pull up this impeachment, and most of the people on Twitter that are screaming impeachment all the time. Because here's the real thing. 2020 is an election year. We'll have either a new president or Trump again in January of 2021. That's a little more than a year and a half away, or a little less than a year and a half away. That the next person, whether it's Trump or somebody else, will be in office. You're going to have 5 to 6 months or more of an impeachment, of an impeachment proceedings. You're going to have months of this. Whoever is doing the investigation and putting out information, and then when they start to actually do the impeachment, and before the Senate votes whether to remove from office or not, that is all going to be in public view. Everything. All of it is going to be out in public, because people like me are going to sit there and watch C-SPAN. We're going to freaking sit there and watch this whole thing. I remember Bill Clinton's impeachment proceedings. Yes, I'm old. I remember sitting and watching some of the proceedings and was like, why? Why are they even asking him questions like this? Like, what kind of answer is, I need the definition of what? Like, legitimately asking the definition of what and if were Clinton's defense, and it was fantastic. It was the Chewbacca defense going on in the damn impeachment proceedings. One time Trump had an event in Springfield and Air Force One flew over my work. My dad asked, if you saw Trump wave at you, would you wave back? I said no, I'd flip him off. What's the definition of the word is? I did not have a sexual relationship with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I remember that. I remember watching that. It was the most soap operatic freaking piece of work on TV that year. I swear to God. I wouldn't flip him off. I had nothing in Trump. I'm not ashamed to say I would, if Trump came to my house and said, "Hey, can I use your pisser?" I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, Mr. President." It's like, "Hey, can you lend me some money? I know you always have a wad of cash in your back pocket. Hook a brother up." I remember Clinton impeachment. I was already out of the military when it all happened. Guess I know. District, we're all old, man. We're all old. If we can remember Clinton being in office, being a president, then we're old. Yeah, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. January 28th, 19... Wait, he said that in 19... Oh, my God. What is the difference? Oh, my goodness. Not Stormy. We're not bringing up Stormy Daniels, please. Anyways, so, Trump aside, Nancy Pelosi is playing 4D chess. 4D chess. Not in that quote, no. Oh, God. Whisper, please. Get out of here. No, don't get out of here. I love you. Sorry. Nancy Pelosi is playing 4D chess. I don't care for Representative Pelosi. I'm not a fan of hers. I think that some of the things that she runs on are ill thought and not completely formulated. But I will tell you that part of it, I think, is... This is my personal theory, my personal opinion. I have nothing to substantiate this other than the fact that there is a newer group of Democrats in the House that have been continuously attacking the old guard of Democrats. As I'm, again, not a fan of the old guard either, but the squad has been going and butting heads with the people like Pelosi who have been in office. Oh, no, Feinstein. Oh, how does she keep getting elected? That's my problem. Took over, yeah, the impeachment process on Clinton took over a year from start to finish. See, and that's the thing. They're going to start they're going to start this impeachment process on Trump October of 2019. Our election is November of 2020. By the end of this whole impeachment process, we'll either be already getting ready to vote the next president or not. And I can tell you for a fact that it's probably not going to be a Democrat. I hate to, I don't hate to say it, because I don't like the Democrats or the Republicans. I don't like either of their candidates. I have respect for Yang. I have respect for Tulsi, because I think that they're actually genuine people who would be willing to sit down and listen and try to work things out. Most of the other Democrats I'm not a fan of, because they just throw out stuff like Beto saying dumb stuff today. I'll keep talking about him all day, because he just every time I turn around he's saying something dumber and dumber. Because Mosen, they can't find anything else to attack him on. They can't find anything else to attack Yang on other than his jokes about his own ethnicity. I make jokes about my own ethnicity all day, every day. I will for the rest of my life. Why? Because it's my ethnicity. I will make fun of people that I find that are my family members, and because they're jokes. They're not meant to be taken seriously. Yang said a common stereotype about Asians about himself. Like, why are you attacking the man? But this is why I say Pelosi is playing 4D chess, because her and the squad have been attacking each other since the last election. And there is some truth to it, Mimi. There is some truth to the stereotype. Yeah, like, I wouldn't berate you for saying that, Mosen. I wouldn't berate anybody for saying that. I make jokes about being brown all the time. Like, I can't go in that certain area because I'm brown. It's a joke. I still can go in that area because I'm not really held from going over there. Boo Galaxy, thank you for this sticker. But it's a joke. It's meant to get a chuckle. No, Mosen. No, you wouldn't. It'd be okay. You'd be fine with that. I mean, so she's playing a smarter move, I think, because she's been against trying to do impeachment this entire time. Since the 2016 election, she's been against impeaching President Trump. Not because she agrees with Trump, not because she's a fan of Trump's, but because she knows it's not good for her party. Is it because I'm blonde? Yes, Mosen, it's because you're blonde. It's because it wouldn't be good for the Democratic Party. I was showing you those poll numbers that most people don't think it's a good idea, and that most people are lukewarm at best for impeaching Trump. But there's a group of Democrats who have been pushing impeachment. That's how they got into office, was because they were, I'm going to impeach him. We're going to impeach him. We're going to impeach him. We're going to impeach him. And they've been saying this the whole time, but their leader, because Nancy Pelosi is their leader, said no this whole time. So for me, what I'm thinking is, because Pelosi has been in office forever. She has been. When was she elected? Let me look this up. We're going to look this up. She has been in office since 2007. Wait. Oh, no, this is not. That's not even it. Sorry. House Democratic Caucus. She has been in office. When was her first? 1987? Okay, there. Yeah, I was just finding that one. 1987. She's been in office. Hey, Viter, how are you doing? Longer than I can remember. Almost. Because I was 4 freaking years old when she became, she started her House of Representatives. Still drying out from getting rained on all day at work. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Peter. Were you in Houston this weekend? She's been in politics since 1987. 1987. She's been around in politics since the birth of since the birth of the internet. Probably a little bit after, but that's besides the point. Yeah, she was a representative of California. Oh, they probably redistrict. Yeah. 1987. Jeez Louise. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you're all right, Viter. So, yeah, she's been a representative since 1987. 1987. So she's been around for a minute. Anyways, so she's been in the office for that long. She knows that it would be a bad idea to impeach the president. She knows it'd be a bad idea to impeach the president. She knows it'd be bad for the Democrats if they impeached the president. I have brothers younger than her stint in office. She's been around for a long time. And this is one of the things when there was that viral video of her going around about the Green New Deal that AOC brought up, and she said that this is not the way to go about it. I've been in office long enough. There's things that need to be done to get things passed, and it's just not. That's not going to work. She told these kids, I've been in office long enough. Let me go about trying to actually get stuff passed and not throw out these haphazard resolutions that that AOC wanted to push. It's so annoying that all the Democrats can think about is impeachment. Their hunt for any case is so childish at this point. I used to be more of a Democrat myself. Now I'm annoyed and ashamed of them. The thing is, Boo, is that the people that aren't, the more I'll say the more sane individuals in the Democratic Party are not going to get they're not going to get their names on the newspaper. You're not going to know about them. You're not, because they're not the ones they're pushing the impeachment. They're not the ones pushing for it. They're the ones that are looking and saying, okay, you know, let's try to win in 2020. I think it's reversed, Boo. I honestly, I think it's reversed. I think the people running for office, at least the Democrats running for office, I think the 10% are the ones that you're going to hear more from, because they are, part of it is because they're younger and they know how to reach out on social media, and they know how to get things going on social media. So they're more likely to get things put in your face and you're thrown in your face. Plus, 4 of them are media's darlings. So I think they're a smaller group of what actual Democrats believe. Mind you, I think a lot of Democrats do also look and they're like, okay, you know, maybe we should just impeach him just to see if we can find anything on him. At this point, if it was me, if I was in that position, I'd be looking at a way to beat Trump in 2020 and just get it over with without wasting time, money, and effort in the next year of trying to impeach him and get him removed. Because impeachment is not removal. Removal is the second part of the impeachment proceedings. And they're not going to get the removal. I don't believe that they can convince enough Republicans to remove him. I don't. I think if the Republican Party didn't support Trump as much as they do right now, or as much as they're letting on, because there's been a lot of things saying, oh, the Republicans don't even like the guy, they want to see him out too. If they didn't like him as much, or if they didn't support him as much as they do, you would have a bunch of Republicans trying to push another candidate for the 2020 election. And there really isn't. A MASH I think is going to leave the party and go run as a libertarian if he runs for president. I don't think he's going to run as a Republican against Trump, because I don't think the public, as much as I'll probably get flack for this, the public likes Trump more than anybody else that the Republicans can put out there. And I, like I said, I'm not a fan of Trump. I think he's a bombastic, foul-mouthed individual who can not put down Twitter for 10 seconds to actually, do work. I feel like he spends more time on Twitter than he does in, doing anything else. But, that's just my personal perception from what I see on Twitter. Every freaking 5 minutes, there's a tweet from Donald Trump, and that's what a lot of people are seeing. But I can't say that I don't agree with some of the stuff that he's pushed. Dude, Bobcat, I do not want the office of president. I don't. We put too much faith in the power of the president, and the president doesn't have as much power as we think he does. And that's just our common misconception. You want to know where all the power is? All the power is in Congress. That's why there's 450 freaking 3 representatives, and there's 51 people in the Senate, or 101 people in the Senate. And yeah, all the power is with the people. I agree, Mosen. That's the true power. But the problem, what I'm saying, in the federal government, The real power in the federal government, excluding the people of the country, is in Congress. It's not in the president's office. Because that's where laws are made, in Congress. The president just approves them. But, you know, there's ways to get around the veto. So, you got that too. So, yeah, the power in the federal government is actually in Congress. Yeah, Mosen, I agree. People complain about bad policies and bad government officials, and they still vote for those people. Well, thank you, Bobcat. I really enjoyed it. I got this for Christmas one year, a couple years ago. It's a octopus. Well, it's actually a cat inside of a octopus submarine. But I think Pelosi is doing this basically to throw it later, to later throw it in the faces of the people that have been pushing for impeachment all this time, who've been against her, when it fails miserably, and when it comes out that all of it is much to do about nothing. Mosen, sorry, you got me off track there, Whisper. That most of this is much ado about nothing, and that the real thing they should be focusing on is trying to win the presidency back. And again, it's going to be difficult. The economy is doing great. We're not really at war with anybody right now. Although I will say, if we do go to war with Iran, that could change everything. That can change everything. I made a joke with my brother the other day that I think Pelosi is sacrificing her party to save it. I think by starting the impeachment inquiry, she's sacrificing the Democratic Party. She's sacrificing the 2020 election, and she is sacrificing a lot of the seats that they gained in the House to get rid of some of the people that she doesn't agree with in the Democratic Party. This is just my ideas that I have been thinking about all week, since hearing about Pelosi actually pushing, because she, like I said, she's been against it the entire time. When there was the whole thing, the Russians and Trump colluded together, she wasn't looking for impeachment. When there was the what was the other one that they said that they were trying to impeach him over, something else came up, she didn't try to push for impeachment. Now she's just at the point where she's just tired. I think she's just tired of all the hubbub and mess that's been brought up by people in her party that she doesn't agree with, and so she is going to sacrifice the 2020 elections, because this is going to come out to be nothing. People are going to re-elect Trump. Trump is going to be the president for the next 4 years, as much as some of us don't want that to happen, and I'm with you there, because I'm afraid that we're going to end up going to war in Iran to protect Saudi Arabia. And I don't agree with that. I don't think we should be going to war with Iran. Don't. That's just another Middle Eastern country that we don't need to get involved in. I mean, look at freaking Iraq. Look at Afghanistan. We don't need to be doing this anymore. I'm sorry. Not without a plan to. Honestly, this is the only way it's going to work, is by invading. Don't take this as a pro-Iran war thing. The only way that a conflict in the Middle East would work is if we went in and we took over and we became their sovereign government. That's the only way it would work. Any other conflict where we go in, we remove the current people in power and hope to, that whoever we put in power is going to, be on our side, it's not going to work. We would have to go in and make Iran part of the United States as like a territory, or, that would be the only way it worked. And I'm not for that. I'm not for that. And I'm pretty sure the Iranian people are not for that either. But I'm saying that's Mosin. That won't happen. Yeah. No, they wouldn't, and they shouldn't. Well, Boo Galaxy. Interesting enough, Trump has started to release the U.S. oil reserves. Well, see, but Mosin, part of that problem, Vietnam was a whole nother mess. I fear that if we go into war in Iran, it could escalate into a bad war. Oh, Ardent Bobcat, I don't fear it. I know that's what it would be. I know it would be a bad war. I know it would be a huge mess. We would be asking for a lot. We'd be asking. It'd be not a good idea. Shoot, even getting involved in Syria was a bad idea. Like it's not. Yeah, he hold on, I can pull that up. Mind you, the United States has had the majority of the oil reserves in the entire world. There's a reason why we import a lot of our oil in the United States is because we're saving all the rest of ours. Here it is, right here. This is Trump authorized. Oh, get out of here. I was trying to read your freaking title. Trump authorizes release of U.S. oil reserves if needed because of Saudi attacks. I've also informed all the appropriate agencies to expedite approvals of the oil pipelines currently in permitting process in Texas and various other states. I mean, it's Trump. What are you going to do? He definitely does have resting bee face, man. Anyways, yeah, no, I am. Iran would be a big mess. Any more future Middle Eastern conflicts would be a huge, huge mess. Although that's interesting. I just saw Trump considers delisting Chinese firms from the U.S. markets. Huh. That doesn't look good. Oh, here we go. This is from also from Reuters. Having his morning coffee and cigarette outside Starbucks and was one of the most politically contested counties in the United States, Richard Sibilla. After this, he has much better chance of winning another election, as scary as that sounds. Resident in Pinellas County, Florida, who voted for Hillary Clinton. It's not even worth following because it's all going to help him. Mark Delvin, a 48-year-old consultant from Northampton County, said he expects the inquiry to incense supporters of the president. Actually add some flame to the fire with his base and just fear party over country. But that's what you're going to get. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. It was the immigration thing. That was the last time they tried to push the... they have this idea that everyone is siding with them, that Trump is an impeachable president, when really it's only a minority. It's not a reflection of the general public. 19-year-old Democratic leadership in Congress. Yeah, I librarian. I thought that said libertarian for a second. I honestly think that the impeachment is going to backfire. It's going to. I think that it's not a smart move for the Democratic Party. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just some dumb guy who makes videos on who streams about news and history and stuff like that. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We will see how this goes. Oh, sometimes plays video games. Yeah, right. Sometimes plays video games running for Congress in the 22nd district of Texas. This guy right here. I will see you guys tomorrow night. We will be probably doing Song Request Saturday. Heck yeah, I need to make some t-shirts, man. I need to get some merchandise out. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's all going to go into the campaign fund. I have an idea for a logo that I want to use. But I'll be back on tomorrow night. It's going to be Song Request Saturday, 8 p.m. right here. Thank you guys for hanging out. This will be on YouTube later tonight whenever I can get it on there. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night. Wrong scene. Sorry. I'm just screwing all up. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.
Ho, yo, ho, yo, ho.